Chapter 79. Searching the corpses and getting rich. You have been killed by a mental attack. Spirit plus 300. You have absorbed strength from death and obtained 150 freedom attribute points. You will be resurrected in 3 seconds. No resurrection location set. Resurrection on the spot by default. In an instant, Sanchia's spirit stats increase by 300 points. From this he could infer that the cultivation of the person who had caused his death had already surpassed the level of ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators. However, he was not happy about this at all. Instead, he was terrified. Even though the rewards he received had increased hundredfold, this was a F** King Golden Core King level enemy. If they found out that he wouldn't die, they definitely would capture him for research. For such an existence, even if he had a Fire Python talisman that was comparable to a gold core attack, he would only be able to struggle against him for a moment. The final outcome would still not change much since the Fire Python talisman would not kill him. Therefore, after reviving, he did not move at all and continued to pretend to be dead. He did not dare to move at all. In order to prevent his soul fluctuations from being detected, he even used the technique in the Grand Moon Visualization Cultivation method to imagine himself as a rock that was without any aura fluctuations. In the gray fog, the linen-robed old man, who was fishing in the small boat, did not pay much attention to the situation of Sanchi, who he deemed an ant. After killing him, he didn't bother about him anymore and continued to fish for souls. The souls of young cultivators are so strong and rich. I can have another feast when I go back. The old man muttered to himself and glanced at Elderdu. This old man's soul, on the other hand, is not very good. Because Elderdu was nearing the end of his lifespan, he was despised by this person. Hence he escaped the cruel fate of his soul being sucked away and died on the spot instead. Master, why don't you take away Chen Yiling's soul? She has the sword body spiritual conduit, so her soul must be of good quality. In the small boat, Chen Ming looked at the woman below with a resentful expression, as his eyes shone with hatred. This little girl is the disciple of Zenith's Heaven Sword King. I don't want to anger that lunatic for some young soul. Let them kill each other in their nightmares instead. It will be fine as long as they die. The old man did not capture Chen Yiling's soul. In the cultivation world, capturing souls was more detestable than killing others. Chen Yiling and Chang Sunji, these two people with powerful backgrounds, could both die here by fighting each other. But if their souls were captured, they would never have the chance to rest peacefully in death. Our Sky Demon cult is so powerful and we have so many talents, why are we still afraid of them? Chen Ming felt a little indignant. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. 1. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse is a phrase in Chinese used to describe even if someone who was powerful has become weaker over the years, their abilities still cannot be undermined. If we really have an absolute advantage over them, do you think we would still use such schemes to attack them? The old man's expression was mocking as he rebutted Chen Ming. Besides, we can only rise in this chaotic world if we're alive. Our lives are the most important thing. We can't risk courting death. For example, if you didn't appear where you did and tried to court death back then, you wouldn't have ended up like this. Disciple has learned his lesson. Chen Ming revealed a look of regret. It's almost dawn. We're almost done fishing. Let's go and meet the people at the Thousand Poisons mountain range and eliminate them all in one go. In the courtyard, because Sanchi was pretending to be dead, Chang Sunji and the extraordinary invisible shadow guard saw that he was not moving and turned around to kill the others instead. Since Sanchi had nothing to do, he continued to play dead and opened the system interface to check his stats. Race: Human. Spirit: 634. Physique: 735. Comprehension: 96. Talent: Supreme Grade Fire Spirit Root, Supreme Grade Gold Spirit Root, Dao Heart Illumination, Low Grade Diamond Dharma Body. Ability: Iron Sand Palm Perfection, Dragon Elephant Technique First Beginner, Yawn Refinement Technique 8th Level, Unfettered Hand Perfection, Phantom Image Step Perfection, 9 Yawn Divine Technique, Mid-Stage of Level 2, Array Formation Beginner 24, Fireball Technique Perfection, Gust Wine Sword Great Mastery, Storm Saber Great Mastery, Yin Yawn Secret Technique Minor Accomplishment, Grand Moon Visualization Method Beginner, Light Body Technique Beginner, Energy 9 Yawn True Energy 590, Freedom attribute points, 155. Lottery chance, 0. The reward for death this time was extremely bountiful. He was directly given 300 spirit stats and 150 omni points. It directly increased his spirit stats until it was not much different from his physique. Ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators would probably not be able to achieve such high spiritual strength. Song Shi's perception had become much sharper. Even without using his divine sense to probe, he could sense a powerful aura outside. This aura made him feel that the outside was still dangerous. It won't be so easy for him to destroy my soul with just a thought this time. Song Shi thought to himself, but he did not dare to try. Death was not scary. What was scary was living a life worse than death. He definitely cannot be discovered by this old man. If he was caught and tortured, he would live a miserable life. My spirit and physique are more compatible now. The difference of 100 points can be caught up by cultivating the Grand Moon visualization method. I'll continue to use the freedom attribute points on comprehension and speed up the cultivation of spells and divine powers. After some consideration, he raised his comprehension by 155 to 251 points. His mind became extremely clear and he felt that he was about to integrate into the world as one being. As he adapted to his mental strength and comprehension that had nearly doubled, he continued to play dead as he waited for the old fellow in the sky to leave. Whoosh, whoosh. The morning breeze blew and the fog outside slowly dissipated. Sensing that the terrifying aura had finally disappeared, Song Shi relaxed a little. However, he still did not dare to act recklessly. What if he pretended to leave and suddenly was ambushed again? However, it was still worth the risk to take some action to investigate the situation. He immediately took out a silver talisman. After activating it, a circle of transparent ripples spread out. The nearby light dimmed and his entire body disappeared under the ripples. Although it's only effective for those below the golden core realm, as long as I don't run in front of the old man and his disciple, they won't notice me. Song Shi activated the light body technique and silently walked out of the broken house without a trace. The gray mist disappeared, leaving only a bit of morning mist. There were no boats or old men in the sky anymore. He didn't use his consciousness to probe around, but used his eyes and ears instead to understand the situation outside. There were still sounds of fighting outside. Some people who seemed to be sleepwalking were fighting with their teammates, and most of them had already died in a pool of blood. At the exit of the manor, Wuxia, Chang Sunji and his extraordinary invisible shadow guard frantically attacked Chen Yiling, Elder Du and the others. The first three were sleepwalking and the last few were awake, but it was very difficult for them to resist. After all, the extraordinary invisible shadow guard was a Foundation establishment cultivator. Even if Chang Sunji did not make a move, it would be very difficult for Chen Yiling and the rest to fight him alone. Senior brother Wuxia, are you still not awake? If we continue, well, I'll die. Chen Yiling shouted anxiously, but it was a pity that Wuxia was like a wooden puppet, who only knew how to attack continuously. Only Chang Sunji was laughing loudly. Chen Yiling, you still dare to lay a hand on me in your dreams? CKU taught F. Hesmod sinisterly, in my dream, you have to listen to me. So what if your master is the Zenith Heaven Sword King? So what if Hes the punishment officer of the Demon Slayers division? I'll strip you naked later and see if you can still pretend. Ha ha. Sanshi could not help but take another look at this fellow. How could this fellow be the only one who could speak while dreaming? Suddenly, he discovered that there was a piece of precious jade on his chest that was shining. Perhaps it was because of this that the other party was not completely under the control of the gray fog and hence thought that he was dreaming. Sangchi did not care. His gaze landed on the many corpses lying on the ground. There was another team of people who died, but most of the dead corpses were cultivators from Sangchi's team. He grinned as he turned away, suddenly having no interest in showing his face to the ongoing fight for the moment. Now that there was nothing much going on, it shouldn't be a problem for him to scavenge a little, right? He approached a postnatal martial artist who had lost his head in the garden beside him, and hid away the treasure saber that had fallen to the side. Then, he took out a cloth bag from his chest. There were more than 100 taels of gold, a large stack of banknotes and many medicinal pills. Sigh. How pitiful, he didn't even earn the Khanate pills and lost his life halfway. Sangchi sighed and thought to himself, brother, Let me accept your things. I'll bury your corpse later so that your corpse won't be exposed in the wilderness. Then I will treat these relics as my reward. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes." He muttered in his heart and began to loot the corpses in peace. With the help of the invisibility talisman and the fact that it was not completely done yet, nobody would have the time to notice that something was missing from the corpses in the darkness, especially since Chen Yiling and the others were all embroiled in a fight and trying their best to protect themselves.